I've always wanted to sit in this chair. It's a bit of a high chair though. We're getting there. Little swing. Got my good side, yeah? Am I straight?
Okay.
Hi Celestia, it's Harpz Kaur here. Firstly, I just want to say it's an absolute honour to be a part of this. So thank you so much for having me, especially in my birthday month. That's a bonus. So I'm a broadcaster and DJ and sometimes a host around the world. I think I'm a trailblazer because I like using my voice for the people. I feel like I would like to think that I encourage people to think that they can go the extra mile. A lot of the time in our culture, we have so many stereotypes, we have so many barriers, so many imaginary problems as well, which actually aren't there. And I want to prove to those people that you can look beyond that. So even though a dream might feel too big, I think I'm living proof that no dream is too big, because I was once upon a time that girl as well who thought, being on a platform like some of the ones that I've been on were too far out of my reach. I used to think that they were just dreams, that's not possible, or it takes 50 years to get there. But actually, with the amount of hard work, blood, sweat and tears literally that I put into my career, I think I've proven that actually anything can happen. You can be someone. And as an extra little fun fact for you all, I wasn't the brightest academically. I think in school or education I was someone that probably struggled a lot amongst my friends, which is also not something that's bad. I feel like that's still something that people look down upon, that if you're not first in class, or you're not top of the class, or you're not shining the brightest, you're not intelligent. And I think that needs to be wiped out from everybody's brain, because if I can be someone who struggled a lot and not really got A's or A stars, but can still be someone and get to the level that I'm at right now, I think I've proven that actually those things, as much as they matter, of course they do, I don't think it means the end of the world though either. I don't think you get put into a box. I don't think there's only certain things that you can do because you don't get A's. So I'd like to think I'm that person who can encourage those that have maybe struggled like me, other people that may have had a similar journey like me, whether that's through education or lack of support here and there. I think I'm that person who can help them break those barriers and come forward and not be scared. Let's get rid of that fear that this culture imbues inside our brains. We're wired that way, but I want to go forward as well, doing the same thing. Hopefully in the future I can make people realize that it doesn't matter what culture you come from, what background you come from, what gender you are, how old you are, none of those things actually matter. It's the graft, it's the work that you put in, and it's the drive that you have within you. So if you've got it, you can get there. I think my journey has always been living in the fast lane. Everything in my career has happened very, very fast. Also very unexpectedly as well. I don't think anything I ever planned from the beginning happened in a timeline. We all write this imaginary timeline in our head and think, okay, by 25 I want this, by 30 I want this, by 35 this. I had a lot of those timelines, and surprisingly none of them went to plan. Everything happened unexpectedly. But my journey's been chaotic, it's been hectic, there's been a hell of a lot of ups and downs. Finding the balance of that is what I think really, really opens up my eyes when I reflect on my journey. When I look back at how far I've actually come, obviously there's so much more still to come. I'm not saying I've reached the final destination yet, but when I look back at everything that I've done so far, I've realized, whoa, one, you were working extremely hard, Harpz. Two, I don't think I knew how to stop, because my love for what I do is just so high. My adrenaline is always on 100, as most of you will know. I didn't know when to stop. I didn't know that exhaustion is a real thing. Everybody in their own field faces challenges. I think how you cope with them is what makes them different. But also, challenges are something that I think you really need to embrace as well, because that's how you learn. You learn from going through the hardest parts of your life. Those Those difficult times that you have is what makes you a better person and a stronger person. So a couple of challenges that I faced along the way, I think there's a few which I'm happy to share. I think the first one is back in my time when I had begun this journey, when I started very young, when I was 18, when I really wanted to go into the media industry. You've got to remember, I was so naive, I was young, everything's new, I don't know everything about what I'm about to go into. But being an Asian female in this industry was very rare. Now, if I was to ask someone, can you name me 5 inspirational role models from media, but from the Asian scene, I think you'd really struggle to think of 5 names. Like, not saying that they don't exist, but they should be able to roll off your tongue. And I think that's an issue. If you can't think of 5 names like this, then we're clearly not in a great space. So I think back then it was hard for me. I didn't have that many people to look up to. There were 2-3 people I can name, like Sonia Diol. I used to admire her on radio. She was the only voice I would listen to growing up. DJ Caper on the DJ scene, she was huge, watching her DJ on yacht parties and things like that. I used to think, wow, if she can do it, so can I. But I do think that did become a struggle as my journey went on. I realized that coming from this culture, coming from this background, being female was actually 10 times harder. And it's sad to say, it's a really sad sentence even when I say it out loud now, that it shouldn't be that way, but it was that way. So that was one thing I had to accept, that just because it's taken me a little longer to get there doesn't mean I don't have the skills and tools to be that person. So I think that was the first one. The second one, getting into an industry that you're not really prepared for. And what I mean by that is, I know what my job role was about to be, but I'm not prepared for the package that comes with it. And I had no idea what comes with being on a huge platform, what comes with being in the limelight, being a public figure as such. I never knew what to expect and how to deal with it. And boy, did I go through some big challenges when those things started to happen. I really struggled with judgment on a daily. I struggled with social media being so powerful, whether that was in a good or a bad way. And I really struggled going from one jump to the next, because every jump that I did became higher and higher. It became bigger and bigger, and as amazing as it is, I'm still so thankful and grateful for amazing opportunities, but it scared the life out of me too. I realized that it actually gets a little bit harder, it gets more difficult, and you have to become really thick-skinned. You have to kind of be a little bit cold, not a bad person, not a horrible person. There's a difference between being not a nice person and cold. I think cold is just, watch yourself a little bit. Another challenge that I faced was the package that comes with the parcel, which I was talking about earlier. You don't know how to prepare for that. I've now learned that I'm not going to dwell on one bad comment out of 100. I'm not going to have a sleepless night over someone that something said behind a screen. And I'm definitely not going to cry for hours and hours and hours and waste tears on someone that I don't even know. But my point of telling that story is, I was that person. I used to not sleep at night because I've read something negative. I've cried and told somebody how much it's hurt me again and again and again because I can't get over it. And I've come to realize I can't spend the rest of my life like that, because my career is just going to go on and on and on, and things will get bigger and bigger, hopefully, and what will I do then? I just probably won't even survive. So I've now learned how to cope with that, and it's a rule that I've made for myself, and I've now told myself, if ever I get into a situation like that, or I've read a negative comment on social media, or someone said something horrible and I don't like it, or it's hurt me, I've told myself I am not going to spend more than 30 minutes thinking about it, crying about it, caring about it, or giving it any attention. 30 minutes in a day is max for me now, because after that, I need to get on with my day. And I've told myself that. One, because everybody needs that time to get over it anyway, right? I'm not saying by the click of the fingers that feeling disappears, but give yourself that time to digest it. If you need to cry, let it out. I think it's important. You need that release of emotion, but you cannot spend hours and hours and hours on the same thing. And that applies to anything negative in your life. I feel like now I will dedicate half an hour of my day, vent about it, scream about it, do whatever I need to do, but then after that, time's done, let's move on. So I've learned that the hard way, I guess. But that was definitely a huge challenge in my career. And the last one that I will definitely quickly touch upon is mental health. Not knowing how to look after it at the beginning, not knowing that it's a thing, not knowing the signs. And I think as my journey's got on, and still is, I've picked up on those flags now. Now I'm aware of what triggers me. I'm aware of the things that maybe aren't good for me in my space or that energy. I now just know how to spot it, and if it's not good for me, I walk away from it. It's just how I deal with it, and it works for me. So I will continue that going forward. So Harpz as an entrepreneur is very new. It's new to me. I'm in a new world. I've not ever really worked for myself before. And what I mean by that is I've just always spent years and years and years working for somebody else, or working for other people, or working for organizations, corporations. It's a very different world being self-employed. So I've been a freelancer now for roughly a year and a half, roughly. And I have to say, it comes with its own challenges. Like I said, I'm not used to this routine or this structure of living as well as work. So as exciting as it is, I'm also learning a lot. I'm educating myself a lot on how to develop me as a brand, how to develop me in the social media world. How do I market myself in the right places, in the right ways? I'm learning all that now. And in a way, it's actually been quite fun. I was quite scared of walking away from the life that I was used to, because it's always scary changing, right? Change is always something we're always a little bit on edge about. But learning to be an entrepreneur and learning how to grow my empire now on my terms in the way that I want to do it, it's actually really exciting. I've had brainstorm sessions with friends, on my own, with family. I will sit and think of ideas that might help me grow my brand in a different way. But now I'm actually trying to explore different routes as well that I can take, which I've never done before. And maybe that's down to the freedom I've got, and that's the best thing about this new life that I have. I like to call it my new life now, because I'm doing everything so different. But it's my rules, it's my terms, and it's also a huge experiment, is how I would like to describe it. I feel like I'm learning, just like everybody else is, but I like to be experimental. I like giving myself a new challenge. It gives me a whole new drive. I've got a different type of fire inside of me to go, I can do this. Where can we take Harpz next? And trust me when I say I've got a lot of things bubbling in this mind, and hopefully we'll put them out there very, very soon. I've always felt no matter what I do, no matter what the job role is, no matter which country I'm in, no matter what platform I'm on, it's very, very important to make that voice heard. My voice is the most important thing. So how do I want to make that impact? I want to talk about my own experiences so that people know my life's not been all glam. Like they say, all that glitters isn't gold. And that's true, because everything you might see on social media or in the places and spaces you see me in might look so shiny, but how did I get there? That wasn't shining. Like, that's not easy. It's not an easy polish to just get there. It doesn't happen with anyone. So I want to talk about those experiences. I want to share those challenges with other people, but I definitely want to show people as well what they're capable of and what they could do. Because I still think I meet a lot of people and speak to a lot of people where they have dreams, they want to do things, but then they'll stop halfway and really they'll stutter a little in terms of they're not confident about what they're about to do. They have no self-belief, very low self-esteem. And I've also been in that position, which is why I want to use my experiences, my my highlights, my highs, my lows, with people, just to make them feel that it can happen. You just have to find the reason why you want to do it. The why is what's important. Why do you want to do it? Why do you want to get to that position? Why does it excite you? And remember why you're doing it. Just remember what that purpose is. So hopefully, wherever I do go, wherever you see me, wherever you hear me, I hope that I'm impacting you in some sort of a way. Whether that be, if Harpz can do it, I can do it. If Harpz wasn't the brightest in school, I'm not, but she's still someone. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe I'm just someone that comes from a similar or familiar background to yours. You know, maybe I come from a similar family as you, or that background where you're thinking, if I'm, you know, a little bit on edge, thinking if this is the right thing or wrong thing to do, but Harpz has done it. Those are the kind of things I like to hear. I love when I hear feedback from people, especially parents that say, Harpz, our children have been watching you on TV, they wake up with you, and you know, when I did my Saturday morning live show for kids TV, I like those kind of comments when people say, I want my daughter to be like you, I hope my daughter, you know, follows your footsteps, she, you know, all sorts of things. Those kind of comments I'm very overwhelmed by, and I never quite know how to deal with it, but it makes me remind myself that I'm doing the right thing. That means I've done my job right, because that is what I'm here for. As much as I'm enjoying what I do and I live and breathe it, I also want to show people that you can do it too. Nothing's going to stop you. So I want to make that impact. That is what I'm doing this for. And also, just to add on to it, I'm a very proud Punjabi girl. I'm a very proud Desi at heart. I love any excuse to put my culture and my roots into everything I do. If I get a little opportunity just to put Punjabi people on the map, I'm going to do it. Work-life balance, I think, has probably been one of the most challenging things I've ever had to deal with in my career, if I'm honest. I've never really understood how to do it when I first started. And maybe because everything was happening for me too fast anyway, so I had no time to even think about balance. There was work going on, waking up at 4 a.m. quite a lot of the time in my career, traveling a hell of a lot, missing out on things. What I mean by that is missing out on big events. You know, with my type of lifestyle and the job role that I have, I've missed out on weddings, birthdays, babies, you name it. I've not been there for a lot of significant days in some of my loved ones' lives, and that is something I really struggled with. But the answer to that is, it's because I didn't really quite get the balance right. For me, it was always work. I've worked to do this. I've spent years and years to get to where I am. So yeah, work comes first. But when I hit exhaustion point and realized I've really burnt out, that's when I realized, whoa, Harpz, hold on a minute, we need to balance. And that's when balance came into my life. Balance, the word came into my mind, and I realized how important it is. So now, balancing my work and life, I've decided to make sure that firstly, me time is really important, and that was missing from my life completely. So I've allocated certain times in a week where it's just for me, whether that's going to the gym or, you know, taking out time to dance, doing the things that I enjoy, making time for friends and family. I will make sure I've put that into my timetable in the week, because that's never happened before. And I've also learned that when work is happening, if I'm at work right now, for example, my focus will just be there, but the minute I've left the door, I've got to let it go. And I think that's something, I used to struggle with. I would work, leave the door, and still on my mind is work. I'm driving home, I'm still thinking about work. I've got home, you know, we're having dinner and I'm still talking about work. That's not healthy for anyone. And I've realized, in terms of your health, mentally, physically, it's just not good for you. We've all got to learn when to switch off. So those are the things I've changed to get that balance. And so far, so good. We're getting there. I feel like now I've kind of balanced my life in a good way. I've managed to get my work time. I'm managing to get my quality time with loved ones as well. I'm fitting in the rest of it, you know, simple things like cleaning the kitchen, washing your clothes. I think I'll be taking a lot of my tours and shows internationally, which is very exciting. I also want to try and get a little bit more TV work out there, so hopefully you'll see me on screen a little more. My DJing will definitely continue, you know, in the clubs, private events, all of that. But I also really want to focus on giving back this year. And I think that's been top of my list. I feel like now I'm in a position where I'm ready to help other people where they need it. And on that note, I've become an ambassador for Calm quite recently, which is a campaign against living miserably, and that's basically down to my own personal experiences that I've gone through in my life. But it's actually a very important message that needs to be spoken about, and I don't see anybody else talking about it yet, so it's time for me to speak. So this year, hopefully I'll give someone, or more than one person, just that little bit of light and love inside of them to go, it's gonna be okay. So yeah, this year I'm manifesting helping others, using my voice, and definitely traveling a lot more with my work. It's actually really nice and such a huge compliment when people say that I represent the younger audience, or I'm there for them as an inspiration, which again is so heartwarming. It makes me feel like I've got to a position where I'm really happy and proud of myself. But the kind of little, I wouldn't say problem, the kind of little challenge that you face with being someone who represents or inspires a younger audience is you've got to be so careful in how you represent yourself. And that is something I've learned along the way. It's so important how you portray yourself out in public, how you are on your social media, the way you act, the way you behave, the way you speak. You might not think that, but having worked in kids TV and having been on the radio and had so many kids from schools listen on the school run, I realized I really have to watch and be careful how I'm portraying my image. And it's not to say that I'm being someone I'm not, because I'd like to think when you meet me in person, I'm exactly the same person. It's not being fake, it's not putting on a front, and I don't even have the strength and energy to do that. But you also just have to be very careful what kind of messages you want the younger audience to take away from your work. And for me, the most important thing is them having self-belief, because I really can't stress to you how important it is to make the younger audience feel inspired and feel like they are capable of doing things. So I think that is one thing I'm very careful about. And the way I portray myself on social media, I think, is a huge thing as well, because now, let's face it, the world revolves around social media. Kids are on it 24/7, probably more than we are. And so they will see and find everything. And what I mean by that is if they're seeing me do things in a certain way, they might copy. Kids are very quick to catch on to things and go, Harpz does it like this, I want to do it like that. Harpz is wearing this, I want to wear that. We've all probably got nieces and nephews that watch things, and sometimes we get a bit scared. We're like, whoa, where are they learning this from? They've got a phone, they're wearing makeup, their wardrobe's changed. But you've got to remember, where are they getting this from? It's what they see, it's what they're seeing. So I'm very cautious of how I want to portray myself. But I'd like to say I've done a good job of it so far. Let's hope it goes on that way, fingers crossed. And the younger audience just really grow some more self-belief. I just really want them to just feel like they're capable of anything. There is no barriers anywhere. The sky literally is the limit. Potential is a very strong word. I think I've realized now, having been self-employed now, I'm working for myself, I'm going down an entrepreneur route, I've realized that there are actually so many other things that I can do, which I've not really discovered about myself properly. Not that I don't know I can do it, it's just I've not given myself the chance to do it yet. So I think now I'm in a position where I've got the freedom, I've got the time, I've got the tools, and I'm ready to now discover a whole new me. And when I mean potential, I think I can take my brand abroad. I think I can make it grow in spaces I've not really explored yet. Without giving away too much, I do want to do more internationally, but what I'm going to be doing, I guess you're just going to have to follow my journey to find out. I hear people talk about manifestation, well, or when I did, I never really truly believed it at first, because I never quite understood it. I never thought it was a thing that when you say something, it happens. I would like to leave a message with everyone that's watching or everyone that's supported my work over the years. Please remember that you are the focus all the time, whether that's your work, your new job role, the job you're in right now. And why I say that is just from experience. I've realized along the way, we're always too bothered about other people's thoughts and opinions. What are they going to say? Do they like it? And then when you ask more than 5 people, you get confused. And as much as we want to grow our brands and develop our skills, sometimes the answer is all up here. It's in your head and it's in your heart, but we're not really listening to it. So I think please remember you are the focus. Whatever makes you happy, that's what you need to do. And I promise you, if you follow the route that you've always wanted to do, you will be successful. You will be successful because your heart is in it. So yeah, do what you're born to do. Don't let anybody else stop you from that. And never ever think because you weren't shining the brightest in a room that you can't be anyone, because I am a perfect example of that. I'm not just saying this because I'm sat in this chair, but Celestia, honestly, I admire so much because they are a really good example of finding and picking up on individuals that are very different to one another, doing different things in their lives. They're in very different roles in their careers, because those are very important people to highlight. We would never really know about their journeys if you weren't listening to something like this, right? Just like my story now, some of you might not have known what you found out today, and I am someone who constantly loves to learn about other people. I love hearing other people's journeys, and Celestia really highlight that for those individuals. So, and especially for females. I mean, what they do for bringing out the best in women, I admire. I really do. And I strongly recommend, if you've not followed their work before, you need to be following it now. You will come across many different people that might surprise you, might inspire you, but you'll definitely learn a lot from as well.